Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Yes, it's the world's most dangerous morning show, The Breakfast Club. Charlamagne the God, LL Cool Bay, Lauren LaRosa, DJ Envy is out today. You know Jess Hilarious is on maternity leave, so it's just us two. And let's get in the front page news with Morgan. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning, good morning. Yeah, good morning to you, Dr. Mr. Charlamagne the God. You know what I'm saying? You had a very
Doctor of what?
I don't know.
First of all, I have an honorary doctorate from South Carolina State University. Respect my honorary doctorate, man.
Us real graduates don't respect honorary. But go ahead. Go off. That's what Kamala told you yesterday, but go off.
Anyways, okay. So Vice President Kamala Harris, obviously, if you missed it, I don't know where you was at, but Vice President Kamala Harris sat down for an exclusive iHeart audio town hall in Detroit with our very own Charlamagne the God. When asked questions about why she sounds so scripted and sticking to her talking points, well, here's what she had to say.
At my rallies, I say the same thing when I go to Detroit as I do in Philly, as I do wherever I am, to make sure that people hear and receive what I think are some of the most critical issues that are at stake in this election.
Yeah, so she said that what's at stake in this election is truly profound. And of course, I love that you guys talked about the confusion around the stimulus checks, where Democrats in Congress actually had to pass that vote funding passed that funding, and Trump put his name on those checks. Another topic that I'm sure many of us can relate to is the legalization of marijuana. VP Harris says she does want to legalize marijuana on a national level, saying she and President Biden worked to get weed reclassified in the criminal justice system. And when she was San Francisco district attorney, she was against harsh penalties for weed crimes. Let's hear those comments from VP Harris at the town hall in Detroit with CTG.
To make it classified as a lesser harm. Mm-hmm. And so that took some time. There's a whole process around that, but that's the work that we have done. I was the most progressive prosecutor in California on marijuana cases and would not send people to jail for simple possession of weed.
So she also indicated that she is confident she is going to win the election in November, but adds that the race is tight. Now, Vice President Kamala Harris, she is expected to sit down for an exclusive with Fox News later today, taking questions from anchor Brett Baier. That's set to air at 6 p.m. Eastern from Pennsylvania, another key battleground state in this election, coming up in less than 3 weeks. It'll be her first sit down with Fox ever. Any thoughts on last night, Charlamagne?
I just enjoyed the conversation. You know, it's one of those conversations. It's an hour long. You can go watch it on Breakfast Club's YouTube page. We'll be playing it back next hour as well here on the Breakfast Club. But it's just one of those things, like, you know, if you want to actually get accurate information and don't be fueled by misinformation and actually know the truth, you'll get it from this conversation. But that's only if you want to believe it. You can still be presented with the truth and still choose to believe whatever lies are out there, but that's on you.
Yeah, I like the way she was like really comfortable with you, but you didn't like you pushed her for the stuff that a lot, like, you came from a different angle than a lot of the other interviews came from. Like, it was really just like a conversation. Like, I felt like she was just like talking to us.
Yeah,
well, I mean, that's my fourth public conversation with the vice president. Like, I've been sitting down with Kamala Harris since she was a senator. As she first came on the Breakfast Club in 2018. So we have a good rapport. A friendly but pointed rapport.
Yeah, it seemed like you guys you cracked your jokes, but you kept things serious as well. So, meanwhile, many Americans are eager to vote early. The latest national NBC News poll found that 5% of registered voters have already cast their ballots. Another 47% said they plan to vote early. About 2 in 3 will vote early. Who will vote early will support Kamala Harris. About 17% above Donald Trump voters. Nearly 6 in 10 voters who plan to vote on Election Day support former President Trump, while 37% who plan to vote on Election Day say they support Harris. Let's hear from some early voters who have already cast their ballot.
Because last time I waited, line going around the block, around the corner. Now I'm getting my vote in today, right now.
I was awake before 6. I would have come out then, but it was kind of chilly. But I did it for them, for the women in my family.
So 46 states and Washington, D.C. has started some form of early voting. 13 states will begin as will begin as this week continues, Among those are key battleground states of North Carolina and Nevada. Others include Iowa, Kansas, Rhode Island, Tennessee, Louisiana, Washington, Massachusetts, the district, of course, and Georgia. So if you're in those states, you can cast your ballots as of this week. Speaking of Georgia, county election officials in Georgia are being told they must certify election results. An Atlanta judge ruled that local officials have a mandatory fixed obligation to certify the results. The judge added that the election officials should share any concerns about fraud with the appropriate authorities, but cannot use that as basis to delay certification. He said if election superintendents were free to play investigator, prosecutor, jury, and judge, then Georgia voters would be silenced. This is one of two closely watched cases involving election certification in Georgia, with the other still pending from, that last election. So any thoughts on that?
I wonder who got to guard them votes for 3 weeks. Like who got to watch over all them votes, all them early votes for the next 3 weeks? Do they keep them in a vote or something?
They need to have the aunties in the church do it because
I'm trying to tell you.
Look, the trustees, right?
That deacon board.
Right, definitely. Well, we'll see what's happening on the other side of the aisle at 7 a.m. Get caught up with Trump. He was in Chicago. And, of course, we'll talk about what's happening in the Adams administration at 7 as well. That's your front page news for 6. I'm Morgan Wood.
Thank you, Morgan Wood. We got Get It Off Your Chest coming up right now, 1-800-585-1051. Call up, tell us why you're blessed. Call up if you want to vent. Whatever it is, we're here for you. It's the world's most dangerous morning show, The Breakfast Club.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Yep, it's the world's most dangerous morning show, The Breakfast Club. Charlamagne the God, Lauren LaRosa. DJ Envy is out today. Jess Hilarious is still on maternity leave. But it's time for Front Page News with Morgan Wood. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning. Good morning. So, former President Trump, he took part in an economic forum in Chicago before heading to Georgia to tape a Fox News town hall with an audience of women that will air at 11 a.m. today. Now, while in Chicago, he sat down for an interview with Bloomberg News and the Economic Club of Chicago and said if elected, he will bring companies back to the U.S. and implement what he calls strong tariffs. Let's hear more from former President Trump.
We're going to bring the companies back. We're going to lower taxes still further for companies that are going to make their product in the USA. We're going to protect those companies with strong tariffs because I'm a believer in tariffs. But tariffs are two things if you look at it. Number one is for protection of the companies that we have here and the new companies that will move in, because we're going to have thousands of companies coming into this country. We're going to grow it like it's never grown before.
I'm not the highest grade of weed in the dispensary, so when I keep hearing somebody talk about something, I have to look it up. So I'm always hearing about these tariffs. Do we understand that a tariff is basically a sales tax raising the price of almost everything that we buy? And we pay those tariffs. Like, tariffs aren't paid by other countries. They're paid by us, the consumer. Do we know this?
Well, they taught that in social studies. I remember.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
It's been a minute since social studies class. Well, despite that, polls have shown that voters believe Trump would handle the economy better than Harris if elected, despite data historically showing that the economy has done better under the Democratic Party. Now, former President Trump's he is supposed to rally in Detroit on Friday. Of course, you guys just were in Detroit, or you're still in Detroit, Charlamagne. He will be in Huntington Place. He's scheduled to speak at the center at 7 p.m. and doors will open at 3 p.m. Of course, Vice President Kamala Harris will also be in the area campaigning on Friday in Oakland County. Voters will decide between the two in less than 3 weeks. Of course, Michigan remains one of those battleground states, but historically have voted blue. Switching gears, though.
Real quick, Morgan, I want to say, too, being in Detroit all day yesterday, when I tell you people from Detroit are pissed off about Donald Trump's comments that he made last week when he said, if the vice president becomes president, Detroit will be, America
it'll end
will
up
be
like Detroit.
Oh, man. Salute to Troy from So Fresh, So Clean Barbershop. I had a conversation with him about it. I had a conversation with a lot of people about that one line yesterday, and they did not appreciate that at all.
Hey, Detroit, what up, though? All right, well, let's switch gears to something just a little more sad, but let's go ahead and continue to say her name, Breonna Taylor. Jury selection is underway in the retrial of a former Louisville, Kentucky police officer charged in connection with the death of Breonna Taylor. Brett Hankison was part of the 2020 raid on Taylor's apartment when Taylor's boyfriend, thinking he was being robbed, fired a shot and hit the officer in the leg. Police returned fire, killing Taylor. Hankison didn't shoot Taylor, but allegedly fired blindly into the apartment because he said he thought his fellow officers were being executed. Hankison is charged with civil rights violations and using excessive force. It's the third time he will face trial for this raid. He was acquitted of state charges, and an earlier federal case was dismissed when the jury couldn't reach a verdict. So here we go again. Let's say her name, Breonna Taylor. And bringing things home to New York City, Mayor Eric Adams is denying knowing much about the vacation to Japan involving two of his senior staffers who had their phones seized upon their return from that trip. Adams says he doesn't ask where or whom his staffers travel. Let's hear more from Eric Adams.
I do not sit down with my staffers and say, before you go on vacations, you need to tell me who you're going on with, and you need to let me know where you're going. I don't do that. Believe it or not, what people do on their personal, private time is on them. And normally, I don't ask my staffers. If they come in and say, hey, I'm going to Bermuda, you want to give me a couple of bucks to get you some Bermuda rum, then I know they went to Bermuda.
Adams' chief advisor, Ingrid Lewis Martin, and Deputy Commissioner for Real Estate Services, Jesse Hamilton, had their personal devices seized at JFK last month in connection to the Manhattan DA's office's investigation into possible corruption involving the city's commercial leases, according to the New York Times. They apparently traveled with a lobbyist who had recently lobbied for Hamilton and the VP of the commercial real estate services firm, Cushman and Wakefield, the firm that helps the city secure such leases. Now, when asked to confirm that no city funds were spent on that trip to Japan, Adams said it was not sponsored by the city. So Adams, he continues to hold it down and say, hey, you know what I'm saying? This wasn't me. This was them. Y'all talk to them. And if we have time for one more, I just want to let you guys know that after a review of Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy, the Defense Department is now honorably discharging about 800 service members. The 1993 policy that allowed LGBTQ individuals to serve as long as they didn't publicly state their sexual orientation or gender identity was repealed in 2011. Now, the Pentagon launched a review last year of LGBTQ plus service members' records who were discharged with less than honorable status. An honorable discharge status allows for benefits for some of those veterans. So shout out to the LGBTQIA plus, whatever you identify as, whoever you identify as, for serving our country. I don't care how you identify, because at the end of the day, my punk butt is not going to do it. And so I salute you, and I hope that you will be able to get that honorable status if you were discharged with less than honorable status.
Yeah, you can't identify as a veteran. You either are or you not. Mm-hmm. Okay, you either served this country or you didn't. So salute to all our veterans out there.
Absolutely. So that's your front page news. I'm Morgan Wood. You can follow me on social at Morgan Media, MorganMedia. And for more news coverage, follow at Black Information Network and download the free iHeartRadio app. Visit BINnews.com. Talk to y'all later. Happy Hump Day.
Thank you, Morgan. When we come back, we will be playing back some portions of my audio town hall that I had with the Vice President Kamala Harris yesterday. We had an audio town hall called We the People, okay? And if you missed it, we'll be getting it back on for you right now. So don't go anywhere. It's the world's most dangerous morning show, The Breakfast Club.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.